On this week's episode, I am going to be showing you how to make basic socks anything but boring. My goal this week is to knit 3 pairs of basic socks. And this is a lofty goal because if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I frequently overestimate how quickly I can knit and how much I can get done in a particular period of time. But I'm going for it. I am going to knit 3 pairs of basic socks this week, and all of them are going to be wildly different so that I can show you different ways that you can dress up a basic sock. Sometimes life is just bananas, and that's all we need is just to knit something basic. We don't want any fancy stitches, color work, cables. We just need to zone out and just knit simple stockinette. But you kind of get bored with that. It's not always super exciting when you don't have a cool stitch pattern or color work to work with. So I'm going to show you ways that will keep you engaged as you're knitting the basic sock, and that will make the finished socks look absolutely amazing and anything but boring. So stay tuned because all of that and more is coming up. Okay, as I said this week, I am going to be knitting 3 pairs of socks in a week. We'll see if I can actually do that. I think that I knit so much faster than I do, but I believe in myself. I feel like I can absolutely do this. Basic socks just fly off the needles, right? It's just straight knitting, no texture patterns to keep track of, no cabling, no fiddly color work. It's just you, your yarn, your needles, and stockinette. I've got a lot of movies and shows that I want to watch this week, so that's partly why I'm doing this. I'm really tired. I had my book tour, all of that stuff with book promotion. That was all pretty bananas. Getting this whole new vlogging thing going. I've had dental work done. Their stuff has been crazy at my kids' school. In fact, this week I'm going to be going with them to the regional speech and debate tournament and helping out as an adult, to make sure that kids don't go sneaking off to vape in the parking lot behind a dumpster or something. Whatever high school kids do these days. When I was a high school kid, we snuck off to smoke cigarettes behind dumpsters, but I think vaping is what they do now. So I'm there to make sure that no kids sneak off to go vape behind a dumpster, but that's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So there's just a lot going on, and I need some basic socks. I need to just zone out, watch my shows, and knit, and I need something that's easy to knit while I will be traveling with all these high school kids, because how am I going to know if they're up to no good if I'm having to pay attention to complicated stitch patterns? I need to keep my eyes on the kids, and I can knit stockinette without looking. So I feel like this is the perfect week to do this kind of cool video where I show you how to take your basic socks from boring to not boring at all. So let's talk about the first one, which I am about to cast on. I love new sock cast on day. It's my favorite day. And of course, by the end of the week, I'm all raggedy, coming on here and talking about how I've stayed up late to try and finish these socks. But the first day, I am always bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to cast on. So without further ado, let's talk about this first trick I'm going to show you. It's not really a trick. It's just a really cool thing to do to dress up basic socks. So my main body of my sock, we are going to be working with this gorgeous skein of La Bien-Aimée Merino Super Sock. And the color is Pink Fetty. And I hope you can see just how gorgeous all of that light speckling is. So that's going to be the body of our sock. And we are going to do a really fun striped cuff in order to dress these basic socks up so that they're not so vanilla. And these are the colors I will be doing for the striped cuff. This beautiful deep olive green, this beige, bright neon yellow, and bright hot pink. So I'm going to be knitting a really cool striped cuff before getting into the body of the sock, and that is going to make these basic socks sing. So tip number 1 for this first pair of basic socks that aren't so basic is to have a really fun, super colorful, multi-striped cuff. And then to choose a really fun speckled yarn. I'm gonna cast on and then show you what my cuff looks like and then get into it because I have 6 socks to knit before the week is out. All right, the pattern that I'm going to be using for all of these basic socks I'm knitting this week comes from my book, The Sock Project. Chapter 3 gives you a ton of different recipes for basic vanilla socks. So that's what I'm going to be using to knit my basic socks this week. All from my book, The Sock Project. You can find that in the description below the video, a link to where you can grab a copy if you don't already have it. Okay, I've got my first color that I'm going to use for this striped cuff, and I've got my needles at the ready. I'm going to be doing good old long tail cast on and then knitting this cuff. God, I love casting on a new pair of socks. Like, there's nothing like it. All right, I've started on the second color for my striped ribbed cuff on my not so basic sock. And I've got a really cool tutorial for how to do neat color changes when you're working striped ribbing, and I'm gonna link that in the description below the video. Okay, I finished my cuff and that actually went really quickly. I was not distracted. I stayed focused. I was really proud of myself for knitting this cuff this quickly. So here it is. Here is the finished cuff and I am absolutely obsessed. And here's why it is successful for elevating my basic sock. First of all, it is a big old chunky cuff, and that in and of itself is just very dramatic to have this thick of a cuff. It just really adds drama to your sock, and especially knit in many different colors. The multicolors obviously add drama. They add interest to an otherwise boring basic sock. So let's talk about the color choices because that also affects how interesting your sock is going to turn out. I used 2 very bright neon colors in this cuff, but as you can see, I tempered those bright neons with a very neutral beige and then a very natural olive. So we've got a neutral and a natural color in here that kind of balance out all of the brightness that we're getting from these neons, and that adds interest. Okay, I got the ends woven in. I'm just so obsessed with this cuff. I cannot. Like, this cuff is making me so happy. So I've got the ends woven in. David wound up my little yarn cake, and I'm ready to go. I'm so excited to get started. Let's talk about movies. It's Oscar season, and I've seen some of the Best Picture nominees. I've seen Oppenheimer, I've seen Killers of the Flower Moon, but there are quite a few that I haven't seen. So on deck for this week are Oscar movies. I want to watch Zone of Interest. I want to watch The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti, and then I don't know if I want to watch Poor Thing, the one with Emma Stone. It sounds really creepy, like just the premise of it. It kind of sounds like, ugh, like I just don't know if I want to put that into my head. I'm definitely a firm believer that you should guard what you consume, that you should like be kind of a gatekeeper for the things that end up in your head because you never know what's going to end up sticking around. I can tell you, there was a movie from A24 with Toni Collette. David, what was the name of that movie?
Hereditary?
Oh, Hereditary. I watched the first, like, I don't know, 15 minutes. Something absolutely horrific happened. And this was like years ago. And I still remember that scene from that movie. It just randomly pops in my head frequently. It was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in a movie. And it's one of the reasons why I'm super careful about what I watch and what I consume, because I don't want creepy, gross things just hanging around. Like, I have enough anxiety and imagining horrible things without just adding to it. So I don't know if I'm going to watch Poor Thing, because the premise just sounds like really creepy. But I am going to watch Zone of Interest, The Holdovers, and then Anatomy of a Fall. That looks really good too. So those are my movie selections for this week while I knit this basic sock. Anyway, so I've got my movie selections. I've got my cuff done. I'm ready to start on this first basic sock and show you just how exciting basic socks can be. Oh, but first I'm going to eat lunch because I'm really hungry. Back from picking my kids up from school, I knit some on the body of the sock while I was in the car, and I don't like this color for the body of the sock. I think that it's too pale. It just doesn't really pop. These colors are so fantastic, and I feel like this just looks kind of pale and meh. So I've got to find a new speckled yarn, a new color to go with this amazing cuff that will do this cuff justice. All right, it's morning. I worked on my sock all last night, and here's where we are at. It's looking really, really good. If you'll recall, I ditched the first speckled yarn that I had chosen. It was just too pale. It didn't really like pop with this cuff, and I love this cuff. So I ripped that out and then went to the yarn closet and found this. This is from Spun Right Round, and it is a lot heavier speckled. It's got, you know, quite a bit more deeper speckling in it. It's not as pale. Looks really good with the cuff, so moving full steam ahead with Glitter Bomb. Works way better than the initial speckled color I had chosen. So I am done with the leg. I've got the leg as long as I want it to be. And so last night I was thinking about the heel. I think I've decided that sometimes less is more. I think that this really chunky cuff with all these amazing colors is just the star of the show. And there's no need to like compete with that with like a really colorful like heel and toe. So I am going to do a heel flap and gusset and toe, and I'm gonna do them all in Glitter Bomb, and I'm gonna let this cuff shine on its own. So less is more is the philosophy we're going with for this first sock. But sometimes more is more. I don't know, I think it's just a lot of fun. Like thinking of all the different ways that we can experiment with basic socks and have fun by just zoning out and knitting something simple, but at the end of the day, producing a sock that is anything but simple in the way that it looks. So that's what I'm gonna do this morning, is get started on this heel flap and gusset and then race on to the foot. Gonna be doing some traveling today. Our kids are competing in the Oklahoma Regional Speech and Debate Tournament. And since I did speech and debate in high school, and so did Dave, their coach asked us to come along so that we can be judges at the competition, and so that we can just help with the kids and just be another set of adults. So we're gonna be traveling to Shawnee, Oklahoma. The competition is in Seminole, Oklahoma. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of knitting during the tournament. Not while I'm judging the kids, obviously. That would be really rude. But a lot of hotel knitting, and then a lot of like dinner knitting, and there's a lot of sitting around at speech and debate tournaments. So I'm gonna be working on all these basic socks while we travel. I'll take you along with me, because I'm sure you've always wanted to know, what does Shawnee, Oklahoma look like? So I'm gonna show you. We've arrived at our hotel with all of the kids on the speech and debate team. There's like 20 kids here, which feels a little bit daunting. Made a lot of progress on my sock though in the car. Finished all the gusset decreases. I'm now on to the foot, and I'm hoping that I can like get the foot done tonight. Maybe even start on the toes, maybe finish the toes, who knows? I'm away from home, anything could happen. But first, gotta do speech and debate chaperone stuff. It's morning. It's hard being away from home when oh man. So this morning, all the debate kids are heading off to go compete at regionals. Dave went with them. He's going to be judging some public forum debate rounds. And then I will be here to corral all of the speaking event kids because they don't perform until tomorrow. So I'm like in charge of these teenage kids. And I'm nervous about that. And then I have to drive them somewhere later. Like the school gave me the keys to this big van, and I've just got to like drive them around. Like I have to take them to find food, and then we have to hook up with the debaters. This is terrifying for like 2 reasons. One, I'm driving like school property, and the fact that it's a big van is fine because I learned to drive. My very first car was a 1984 Lincoln Town Car, which is the approximate size of Jeff Bezos's yacht. So I feel confident that I can drive this van. It's just, it's not my car. So I feel like I'm going to mess up because it's not my car. Also, this van will be full of other people's children and their safety falls on my shoulders, and that's a lot. So I'm a little bit nervous about later. I am an introvert. I am shy, and that encompasses kids too. I'm supposed to corral them all around 10 o'clock in the hotel lobby, and I'm scared. Let's talk about my sock. I made good progress last night. We are cruising along on this foot. I brought a humongous bag of yarn. In fact, I'm gonna grab it. This is like all full of yarn, just in case. Anyways, I'm in charge. Who put me in charge? I don't know how this happened. Like I genuinely, the events that led to me being a chaperone and like, I still am confused how it happened. So anyways, I'm gonna knit my sock. Made it back to the hotel after a long day. I didn't lose any kids. I didn't hit any deer while driving around on these backcountry Oklahoma roads. I did manage to finish my sock. Look at that. So sock 1 of 6 is done because I want to knit 3 pair. That's 6 socks. I went ahead and cast on the second sock in that pair because I didn't have my big bag of yarn with me. Otherwise, I definitely would have started working on my second design idea. Probably a good thing. Tomorrow I'll be in rounds all day judging speech rounds. So dramatic interpretations, poetry, prose, humorous duets, the whole gamut I will be judging all day tomorrow. And that is tough because it's teenagers, it's kids, and it's like they've worked so hard for this. It means so much to them. It matters so much to them. So having to judge kids, like, I love judging people. Give me a formal piece of paper and I can rank stuff and make notes. Amazing. But kids, like, it's hard to judge teenagers because it just means so much to them. So it's not going to be an easy day because you have to rank them like numerically, first all the way to like 7th or 8th. And it's really hard marking some sweet kid an 8, like last place. So I'm not looking forward to that. All in all, I made it. I successfully, to this point, there's still a whole night and a whole day tomorrow, but to this point, I have successfully chaperoned teenagers. To my knowledge, nobody's done anything illegal, illicit, scary, dangerous, or otherwise unapproved of. So, yeah, I'm on a roll. I'm doing good. Let's just hope I can keep it up and keep my eyes alert, my ears alert for any kind of nefarious activity. All right, it's the afternoon of day 2 of the speech and debate regional tournament. It's been a day. Like, I've judged a lot today. I've judged extemporaneous speaking. I've judged humorous duets, and I've got more judging to do at 5. And then we'll be done. And then it's award ceremonies. We find out which kids get to go to state. Obviously, I don't judge my kids or even my kids' division. I judge a completely different division. So my kids are going to be competing in the finals to find out if they get to go to state. It's been emotional. It's hard to judge kids, like they're giving it their all. And I've barely got any knitting done. Here's where I'm at. I've knit, you know, not even done with the cuff on the second sock. Like, we get to go home sometime tonight. I'm exhausted. I miss my dogs. I miss my mattress. I miss my space heater. I've been cold all day. I have discovered that I cannot self-regulate my body temperature anymore. I use that stupid space heater too much. And so now I can't, like, regulate my own body temperature and keep myself warm because I rely on the space heater. So if I don't have the space heater, I'm just cold. I become like a lizard. I'm out of sorts. I'm emotionally wrought. Like, whenever they were announcing, you know, which kids made it to finals, it's hard because they're standing around and their little faces, they have these big cow eyes, like, and so it's so hard, you know, when their coach is saying, okay, you made it through to finals. Unfortunately, you know, and I mean, it's tough. It is tough watching the cow eyes with the hopeful expressions on their faces. They want to break. They want to go to state. It's too emotional for me. I can't. I want all of them to go to state. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow when I'm going to start a new sock, because starting new socks is fun and it's a little treat after this weekend. So tomorrow I'm going to be sitting on the couch with my space heater and my dog and a new sock after having slept on my own mattress. It's going to be good. So I'm going to get back in there, get to my judging, get to the awards ceremony. All right, so we're back home from the speech tournament this weekend and chaperoning the kids, and this is just where I'm gonna be like the rest of the day today. It's Sunday. I'm just not moving. When you get to a certain age, it is difficult to be away from home and to be active all day. And so, yeah, I feel like I got hit by a truck, but it was a good weekend. The team won first at regionals, and most of the kids, including my 2, are going to state in another 3 weeks. So, yeah, it was a good weekend. In terms of the sock, here's where we're at. I finished the cuff of the second sock yesterday, and then kind of started on the leg. And today, I don't know if I have like the mental clarity to like start a new one. I think that this this is why this video is important, because sometimes all you can do is just knit stockinette. That's all you can muster because your life is just bananas. And so that's why I wanted to do the video, just to show that you could do that. Like, when your life is just completely bananas, going off the rails, you've got stuff going on, you're tired, you're drained, you're hungry, whatever. You can knit beautiful basic socks that are still cool, even though they're basic or whatever. So, yeah, that's why this is important, because that's what I'm doing today. That's all I can do. I can't do anything else. All I can do is knit some stockinette. So that's where we're at. I'm going to keep knitting this, and then I'll get back to you either when I'm done or I've revived a little and I've decided I want to start knitting and designing the second not so basic sock. All right. It's been 2 days since I have worked on this second sock. The past 2 days, I've done absolutely nothing. Sunday was a slug day. I just slugged around the house. And then yesterday, I don't know, I woke up a mood, as my teenage daughter would say. I just felt really low, really blue, and I was not interested in doing anything to help myself. I wasn't going to take a walk. I wasn't going to eat nutritious food. I wasn't going to reframe my thinking. I just wanted to wallow, and that's exactly what I did. So yesterday was it was a mood day. I wallowed, and I just accepted that I felt bad, and I hoped that I would wake up and feel better today, and lo and behold, I did. I'm gonna actually cast on the second of my idea for the not so basic socks. I also, at some point today, need to go find some new clothes. I mean, you've seen this t-shirt like 50 times. I told you I have like 3 t-shirts. So I have got to find some more clothes to wear so that I'm just not wearing these same t-shirts over and over again. So that's on my agenda today too. I will show you if I end up coming up with something cool. I'm not very good at shopping, so I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, I'm gonna get busy knitting, and then I'll get back with you later today to show you my new not so basic sock and hopefully some new clothes. Okay, I am now back from my errand. So I went to Urban Outfitters. That was a mistake. Everything in there was either teeny tiny or like very dramatically oversized. There weren't clothes that just like fit, you know what I mean? So, and also it was like really loud in there. I don't know if like Urban Outfitters tries to like drive us elderly people out so we don't like mess up the vibe or the aesthetic. I don't know, but it was really loud. Nothing fit. It was just, I didn't like it. So I left Urban Outfitters and I just went to Gap, like the basic person that I am. And I bought pocket tees. Don't get too excited. Like, I want you to try and keep your excitement down when I show you just the amazing, unique clothes that I just bought. We've got a gray pocket tee. We've got a white pocket tee. And I went really wild here. A black and white pocket tee. So this is why I knit super colorful socks, because when I shop for clothes, I just give up and buy the most basic thing possible because it's too overwhelming trying to find anything interesting that I might like. I am going to put this down for a while and I'm going to cast on the new sock. It's morning. I spent an awesome evening last night just zoning out to some TV and doing some relaxing basic sock knitting. I ended up watching The Vampire Diaries. I told you that when I set out to knit these basic socks, I was going to catch up on Oscar-nominated movies, and I went back to trash TV pretty quick. So this is the progress. I'm working on the second of my not so basic socks, my big mint green cuff, and now I've started adding in color. So for this sock, I'm going to be doing both color blocking and French Breton stripes. So that's what we've got going on. More colors will be entering the chat. It will not just be this mint and this amazing grello, this green yellow. I will be adding in more colors. There will be color blocking. There will be a lot more colors. So I'm pretty excited about this sock. I think it's going to look really amazing with the first sock that I knit. And so look it. And I'm not even done with this one because there's going to be more colors, and it's just, My plan is I want 5 total yellow stripes on the leg. So I've got 2 more stripes to go, and I'm actually about to start the 4th. So I'm going to keep watching Vampire Diaries. Gotta find out what Damon's up to. All right, I finished the leg on my second not so basic sock. It looks so good. I love the mint combined with the grello. I think that's a really cool combination that I've never done before, and I think it turned out great. I have also started working on the foot, and I told you that I would be introducing more colors. I'm basically doing color blocks combined with stripes for this not so basic sock. Look at that. So I brought in red and pale peach for the foot, and it's looking so good. I think these might be my new favorite socks. I say that about almost every pair I knit, but for sure I am obsessed with and in love with these socks. So I'm doing an afterthought heel for these socks, which is why I've got my little marker here. That's where I'm going to insert my heel. So the leg of the sock is going to be the mint and the grello. The foot of the sock is going to be the pale peach and the red. The leg of the sock is pretty tall. It measures 8 inches, and I'm doing an 8-3 stripe pattern for the leg. So it's 8 rounds of my main color, which is the mint, and then 3 rounds of the grello. So that's the stripe pattern on top, and then I'm mixing it up for the foot. I'm doing a different stripe pattern for the foot and doing just 4 of each color. I should add that I'm on episode 8 of the Vampire Diaries now, season 1. I'm so obsessed. I love it so much. There's so much happening right now. And what's really funny is that I thought I was just watching it like alone, but Dave works in here too, but it didn't seem like he was paying attention to it because it's the Vampire Diaries, not really up his alley. But then this like major plot twist happened in episode 7, and Dave piped up, "I did not see that coming." So apparently he's been like kind of watching it with me. But that's what I'm going to be watching while I race to finish my sock today. All right, did I finish my sock last night? I did. It's all done. I did an afterthought heel on this sock, color blocking, different stripes. I just think it's a really fun, not so basic sock. And now I've got 2. I've got 2 very not boring, very fun to knit basic socks as a little set. Like, they don't match, but they kind of go, right? Like, it's just a fun, colorful pile of socks. I'm very, very excited to try out this next idea and see if it works. All right, it's a new day, and I've got some updates for you. And we are going to be doing our own gradient. We're gonna make our own gradient using helical knitting. Helical knitting's really fun. You don't have to worry about jogs, and it just creates a really cool effect where you can just do single round stripes, and that creates a really interesting fabric. I have cast on the cuff. And guess what? I'm gonna go ahead and knit another chunky cuff. I don't care that the other two socks have chunky cuffs. I really like big chunky cuffs, and this week is all about having fun just knitting the basic socks that I want to knit. So I'm gonna do another chunky cuff, and part of me really loves that because then there's a theme that will tie all three of these basic socks together, and that is that all of them will have big old chunky cuffs. I'm gonna do white as my main color. That'll be my cuff, my heel, my toe, and it will also be throughout the helical knitting. And once I get more of it knit, I'll be able to show you what I'm doing. It looks like Dave is coming with a plate of food, so I'm gonna eat that and then get busy. All right, so it's the next day. I don't know what day it is. When last we spoke, I was working on the chunky cuff for the third basic sock, and my initial plan was to do like a gradient doing helical knitting. So I was going to alternate a color with white yarn and do, you know, single round stripes, and then I was going to do a gradient. So starting with like a light pink, going into a darker pink, and then a red, and then an orange, and then a light orange, and a yellow, and so on. And so when I started kind of laying out my solids and my tonals to kind of make this gradient, I just kind of zeroed in on this really brilliant orange. And it was like it clicked in my head. I was like, that's it. I'm just going to do an orange and white helical knit sock. I don't need to complicate this. The whole point of this is to keep it simple and fun and easy and just super basic, but then creating a really striking sock. And I felt like constantly switching colors to do a gradient could look really cool, but it would definitely be complicating things. And I just kept looking at this bright orange and feeling really inspired by that. So that's where we're at. I've only got a little bit done. This is what we're working on, and I freaking love it. Like, it looks really good with the other two socks. It's really fun to knit, just having those two colors, one being so striking like the orange, but God, orange and white, I don't know. I'm just really feeling it right now. So that's what we're going with. So I'm gonna work on that today. You're basically knitting with two colors in a spiral, so you never have to twist yarn. You don't have to worry about jogs. It's really cool. A lot of people use it when they're knitting like sweaters out of indie dyed yarn. They will alternate skeins with helical knitting so that you don't get like weird splotches and different things that can happen with like indie dyed, like variegated or speckled yarn. So it's a really cool technique. So yeah, I'm gonna go blow dry my hair and then I'm gonna keep knitting. I'm all done with the leg and it's looking amazing. I've got my little marker put in where I'm going to eventually put the afterthought heel. So now I just need to knit for 6 more inches to finish up the foot, and then I can pop in the toe, pop in the heel, and I will have the third not so basic sock done. Okay, I have finished the foot of my sock. I'm ready to do the heel. Love how this turned out. The helical knitting just looks really cool. It creates such an interesting fabric when you do single round stripes like this, especially with this really bold orange with the white. I love how it turned out. So now let's talk heel and toe colors. My initial thought, so here's the orange I was using. It's a very red orange, like it almost skews red. And I was going to use pink for the contrast color, but look at that. That's pretty boring. Like that's just not fun enough, I don't think. How would this look if, oh man, oh, that's good. I love that. So that's good. I love the mint with the orange and white. Like how fun is that? This fell under my couch. Clearly I need to vacuum under my couch. Look at that dog hair that I just pulled off. But yeah, love the mints with the orange and white. I was also considering this kind of grapey maroon. And that's okay. I like that. I don't think I like it as much as I like the mints, but I do really like that a lot. And then just kind of going with a classic color wheel combination. Orange is a warm color. And again, this is kind of an orangey red. Blue would be on the opposite end of the wheel. That looks really good too. Love that blue. So this is tough because I love all three. I think that the mint, the brick, and the blue all look really good with this orange and white, but I gotta say, I think this mint is what makes me the most happy. All right, update. I did finish that third sock last night. It looks glorious. It's blocking right now, and I am working on all of my second socks now. I had already started this second sock, so I've got like a couple of rows left on the leg, then I'm gonna knit the heel. I have a feeling, because all three of them are so much fun to knit, that I'm gonna get them done like that. I don't even know. Oh, okay. Okay, so this morning I went to the orthodontist and got braces put on. Obviously, I'm still learning how to talk with them. I have a lot of stuff in my mouth now. I have been working on my second socks for all the basic socks that I knit. There's definitely some discomfort setting in. I've got, you know, macaroni and cheese. I've got Vampire Diaries, which has become my personality now, like my entire personality. I'm so invested in this show, and I'm only on season 2. I have now entered my adult braces era, and so hopefully by next week's video, I will have learned how to talk better. Adult braces. Who knows how this is gonna go. All right, I have got all of the basic, not so basic socks done. I still can't talk. Still getting used to the braces. So yeah, this is this is tough, but I did finish all of the not so basic socks, and they all look glorious. I am so happy with how everything turned out. I have this beautiful little pile of basic socks that look anything but basic. I've got this stunning pile of basic socks that were so much fun to knit. I got through 4 seasons of the Vampire Diaries knitting these socks, and it was awesome. Most relaxing knitting week of my life. It was just wonderful. So I'm going to show you what these look like on my feet. I hope that you love them as much as I do. This was a bananas week, right? We had speech and debate tournaments, and we had getting braces on and watching the Vampire Diaries and knitting all of these amazing socks that I'm so in love with. I really hope that you enjoyed this week's video. Once again, you can find recipes for basic socks, all the tips and tricks that I use to knit basic socks in my book, The Sock Project, which is out now. I'll include a link to that book in the description of the video, as well as links to my Ravelry pattern stores, my website, my email address, all the things. So love reading your comments on videos. I read every single one. I don't always have time to respond to them all, but I do read every single one and just really enjoy hearing from you and hearing about your own funny stories or things that you're knitting. So definitely leave a comment if you've got something to say, and I will see you back here next week. Thanks for watching.